this. No, I'm not going to do that again. This is my new to me 2007 Ford Crown Victoria. And yesterday, while sitting at the campground, minding my own business, scrolling through Facebook Marketplace like I usually do, I saw this thing. And it had only been listed about 13 hours prior to me viewing it on Facebook Marketplace. So somebody listed it on Saturday afternoon. Sunday morning, here I am, on my way to go see it. And as you can tell, it's in my driveway now. So let's start with the details. This is a 2007 Ford Crown Victoria. It's an LX model. It does have the wheels and no hubcaps. And it's got this gray color. I'm not sure what the color is yet. But as we come around to the back, this car originated in Kelowna, BC. And if you guys are from Canada and you know anything about cars, you want something from out west because they have drier climates than we do, and the cars tend to rust less than they do here on the East Coast or in the Rust Belt. If I had to give the equivalent, it would be like buying something from the Midwest for most of my American viewers. 4 like new winter tires, which is not a big deal because we're going to need winter tires for it eventually. But the fact that it's a Western car means that the rocker panels should be in really, really good shape. And from what I could see that they are, we're going to get it inside up on the hoist and take a look at it. The biggest difference between this car and Grandma, if you guys don't know what Grandma is, I'm going to leave a link right up here. That's our 2004 Grand Marquis. The biggest difference between that car and this one is, well, obviously it's 3 years newer, but this one's got leather interior. Yeah, it's an LX with leather interior. Let's hop inside and let's take a look. So everything as you see right now is how I bought it. I haven't cleaned it, I haven't done anything. It does have the leather interior, it's kind of grubby. And as we come over here, the biggest thing I'm impressed with is that right there. Yes, the cup holder in the rear armrest. In the front seat, it's pretty plain. It does have the wood grain across the dash here, but the door panels are pretty plain. And the seats obviously a little bit dirty, but that'll clean up. Now again, because it's an 07, it does have the updated dash and steering wheel. When I say updated dash, basically what I mean is that you've got the digital display up here as well as a tach. Most of these cars never did come with a tach. This one certainly does. Cruise control on this side, and we've got the volume and temperature control over here. Automatic climate control, AM, FM, CD, and cassette. So far from what I can tell with this vehicle, everything works as it should, with the exception of that infamous blend door. I'm not sure if it's the blend door specifically because I never had the issue myself in any of the Panther platforms I've ever owned. But the symptoms are, you can get air conditioning to come out, but it primarily comes out in the defrost vents. And so it's blowing up there. But when you're driving down the highway and the vehicle is not under load, and I think it's a vacuum issue, it switches to the dash. But as soon as you're into it to go up a hill and the vacuum goes away, well, it's back on the defrost. So I think that's exactly how those will work, and that's how they fail. I'm gonna have to do some research into that and see what's going on. But as we sit here right now, we do have working air conditioning. All the buttons on the dash work as they should. Power windows, all the door locks, power mirrors, all that stuff works. One other thing that does not work, the same as any platform, the same as any Panther platform car I've had in the past. If it's got this overhead console, there's some digital displays in there. That does not work. The lights work, but the actual display is not working. The other thing that works that's actually in really good shape is the cup holder. These things are notorious for failing. You know, they don't come out, the little arms break off, the little holders in the bottom break off, and this front cover breaks off. When I bought the car, this thing was in here like that, and I thought, yeah, for sure, it's not gonna work. But I pulled it out, and everything worked the way it should. And another neat thing about this particular car is the shifter. Well, although it's a little bit out of adjustment, it actually clicks into gear fairly easy. It's easy to find the gears. Unlike Grandma, very, very sloppy in the shifter mechanism. So we've got that going for us. Back here, we've got the same ginormous trunk that we always have. This one does have the compact spare instead of the full size. We may swap that out with Grandma. And it did come with a few extras that the seller left in the vehicle, including a brand new tow strap. And as we pop the hood, one thing that we can tell with this vehicle having 205,000 kilometers, which is about 124,000 miles, is that the intake has been replaced at some point in time. It does have the little Dorman logo on it. Somebody used Dorman. I'm not 100% against them, but a lot of people bash those Dorman intakes online. It works, folks. You just got to install it properly. Keep an eye on your coolant levels. Couple little things under here that I did notice is that the cover is missing, and that the drive belt has got some cracking on it. So we put a drive belt on this thing. Brand new battery. The seller put that on just a couple of days ago because, well, the car sat for a while and the battery was dying. So we've got a brand new battery. And electronic throttle body. Grandma does not have this. So this is an 07. It's got all that good updated stuff. I don't know how much customization we're going to be doing to this car, if in fact we do replace Grandma with this. But I'm thinking that we will at the very least tint the windows and put a set of wheels on it, and maybe upgrade the exhaust. I love the exhaust on Grandma now. We just paid $1,200 to do that. So if you guys are interested in Grandma, if it's for sale, there will be a link down in the description box below of this video. You guys can go back and watch the playlist on Grandma, because I documented absolutely everything I've ever done to that car since we bought it 4 years ago. So let's close the hood, get this thing up on the hoist, and take a look underneath. All right, so now that we got this thing up in the air, there's a few common areas that we want to check, but we're going to check a few other things, like the condenser for the air conditioning. It's not all beat up, it's not plugged, everything looks good there. Main cross member is it's got some color to it, but it's nice and solid. Over here, again, everything has some color to it, just this little bit of brown. The frame rails are still black here. No major oil leaks, no oil leaks really of any kind. I checked the front end before I got it up too far, and the front end is good and tight. The brakes look like they're brand new in the front. We come back here. Drain plug's not leaking. Rear main's not leaking. No transmission, anything is leaking except for possibly just that rear seal. It's got a little bit of weepage and it's just kind of spinning around there. So that's an easy fix. Still has the cats, obviously, but really no surprises. The bottom leading edge of this frame is a little bit brown, but no great big chunks or flakes coming off of it. All the brake lines are still black and in really good shape. The floor pans, look at the floor pans. Just like new. I mean, remember what the floor pans look like on that one? The other thing is the rocker panels, the rockers. Again, a little tiny bit of brown there, but if we get up in behind this plastic piece, just a little tiny bit of brown, but super solid the whole way through, just like factory. Nothing really to worry about there. We come over to this side. This is the side that I saw initially. Had a small little blister here. It's not clear through. It is flaking. We may put a small patch on that, or at least get it undercoated to keep it from going any further. But again, floor pans, my goodness. We come back to the rear suspension. Again, standard 4-link with the Watts link here. Coils are looking pretty crusty. Shocks have been replaced at one point in time. Those are not OE shocks. Those are OE Spectrum, they call it. And then back here under the trunk floor, again, a little bit of brown, but not necessarily bad. I mean, it's got a little tiny bit of scale. We'll clean that off and get it undercoated so that this thing will last the New Brunswick or East Coast winters. As you guys know, I'm in New Brunswick, Canada. We get salt, and we get lots of it because we have a constant freeze and thaw cycle throughout the wintertime. And every time it thaws, all that slush becomes liquid and splashes up into every orifice of this car or these cars. And then next week, that might be 20 below again. Things freeze up. They got to put more salt when it thaws. You drive through it. It's a vicious cycle living on the coast, at least here in Eastern Canada. So there's nothing that surprises me under this car. I'm not too worried about anything. All original stainless exhaust, everything is still there. Like I said, we may change that just to give it a little bit different tone and put duals on it. Not sure I'd spend $1,200 again, but I do love that MagnaFlow system that's on Grandma. Maybe we take that, put it on this car, and end up going with something like just some Walker replacements for Grandma when we sell it yet. And Junior just popped in. He was curious as to if this thing had a locking differential and what the gear ratio was, and we just scraped down the tag and we do see 273. So it's an open diff, 273 highway gears. Going to get you plenty of fuel economy, but unfortunately, She's only going to be burning the one tire if you desire. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this thing out for a little bit of a road trip, and we'll end off this video with that. Guys, if you like this sort of content on these Panther platform cars, please give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to be putting out a little bit more content on this car, and the sale of Grandma. We'll do a for sale video on that again, only if we decide that's the decision or that's the way that we want to go. So make sure you're subscribed. Check out the merch. There's a link down the description box below for some Olde Carr Guy merch as well. You can help support the channel so that we can afford to do projects like this and do upgrades and stuff like that. If I make these videos and you guys watch them, we can continue doing this with your support. So another thing that we've got going for us in this car, a few little things that you realize don't work the way they should until you get into a car that things do work better. And one of them is the door locks. On Grandma, when you unlock the door, the driver's door is absolutely no problem. The passenger side door is no problem. The two rear doors, always you got to sit there and spam the crap out of the release on the key fob, because they need some help. Those door lock actuators need a little bit of help going up. This car here, nothing. If I press the button, they're right there. There's no drones, there's no nothing. Grandma, the two rear ones, they do that a little bit. The other thing, this car, somebody has programmed this car to have the doors lock automatically when you put it into drive, and when you put it into park, they unlock. Grandma didn't do that. They would lock as soon as you reached a certain mile per hour. And then you had to unlock them yourself. So anytime you get out on the passenger side or the driver's side to go to the back door, well, you had to come back and hit the unlock button 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 times to get those back doors to unlock. This one, so much better. So let's get out on a little bit of a cruise and see how this thing works. Let's pull the tire a little bit. Much quieter than Grandma due to the exhaust. So that's something that we'll have to get used to for a little while to see what we're going to do with it. The car does not pull left or right anymore. It did. All the air in the tires were low. The two rear tires were super low. So it felt like you were towing a trailer that was overweight. It just kind of constantly wanted to do this. Since we've got air in the tires, that problem has been fixed. And other than the blend door, I think that's really the only interior problem that we're going to have with this car. We'll put up with it for as long as we can, but we're probably going to have to fix it. If you don't know what that is, Google it. And there's guys that will curse and swear about how bad it really is. I think it's going to be a job for us on this car. When we get this thing up to speed, we're currently doing 90 kilometers an hour, approximately 45 miles an hour. No shakes, no shimmies, no nothing. The transmission shifts really, really good. These things are usually a slow shifting transmission. This one works pretty good. So I don't know if it's been serviced at some point in time. But yeah, the brakes, like I said, they all feel like they're brand new. Very, very slight pulsation when you're coming to a slow stop. And that might be the rear, because the front rotors look like they're brand new. The rear ones are a little bit older, so we may end up doing some servicing on those anyway. On all 4 rotors, we'll tear everything apart. Windows, all 4 windows go up and down. Both seats, all the power options work on it as well, and all the steering wheel controls work, as well as the traction control, the overdrive light, and the little menu for the setup on that little screen. Everything works just the way it should. So we're not too disappointed. Ultimately, the decision has got to be left up to my wife whether she wants to leave Grandma for this one. And so far, it sounds like she's pretty stoked to do so. And if we do that, you guys will be along for the journey. So based on the thumbnail, you guys know what I paid for this car. The temptation just to simply flip the car is there, because, in my opinion, this is a $5,000 to $6,000 Canadian car, $4,000 to $5,000 US. I could easily double my money and you know, move on to the next project. But because we've been looking for a flip for Grandma to upgrade, this might be it. We drive this for, you know, 3 or 4 years like we did Grandma, and, you know, probably be able to sell it. What do you guys think I could get out of Grandma? 04 Grand Marquis. All the upgrades that I've done to it, the exhaust, the tires and wheels, the tinted windows, there's a couple little extra things on there, the stereo, all that stuff adds value, but how much? Is it a $4,000 or $5,000 vehicle? Is it a $6,000, $7,000? I don't know. In my market, I truly believe it's easily a $5,000 car in Canadian money. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, stay tuned for a future video on Grandma, because it may be for sale. And let me know in the comments down below what you think of this car. Did I make a great purchase based on the condition of the vehicle and the mileage? I think I did. You can tell me down below. So stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. I love you guys. God bless. We'll see you again in the next video.